Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu. Wasta'inuhu. Wastadihi. Wastaghfiruhu. Wa uminu bihi jalla. Wa la akfuruhu. Wa ashadu an la ilaha illallah. Wa ashadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Wa aslahu bil huda wa din al-haq. Liyudhiruhu ala din kullihi walau karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life, known as Islam, will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, fa'inna astikal hadith kitabullah, wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatu taqwa, wa khayrul milali milatu Ibrahim, wa khayrul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah, wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran, wa khayrul umuri awazibuha, wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha, wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya, wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada, wa amma al-amma dalalatul ba'da al-huda. وخير الأعمال ما نفع وخير الهادي ما أتبع وشير الأمة أما الكلب. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said the most truthful of discourses is the book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. Best acts are ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. Wa atasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. And hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nasi ta'muruna bil ma'rufi wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. You are the best peoples raised for mankind, or evolved for mankind, joining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breast to Islam. أَقُولُ قَوْلِي هَذَا وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ لِي وَلَكُمْ. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ijma'in. Amma ba'd. يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يحمل بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. Allah commands justice in the doing of good and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. This is part of what's called tawsiyah bit-taqwa. That means to encourage people towards the taqwa. It is a natural part of every khutbah. And inna Allah yahmuru bil-adli. Adl is impartiality, it's justice, basically. It's impartiality, it's equity, and it's fairness. So Allah moves us, urges us to move toward fairness and justice with everybody, especially dhul qurba, those who are near relatives of yours. We want to go on a little bit because we very seldom go over the ayats following that. Fulfill the covenant of Allah when you have entered into it, and break not your oaths after you have confirmed them. Indeed, ye have made Allah your surety, for Allah knoweth all things, or all that you do. Awfu is a kind of a covenant, but it means to carry out or to follow through on something. So this is about any covenant or commitment that you make. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fulfill your covenant, follow your word, follow your deeds with good and more good deeds, and carry out any commitment that you make with people. And don't break your oaths. And then if you do break your oaths, there's a process. Maybe giving something to the poor, feeding so many hungry people, fasting for 3 days. There's many ways to break an oath, but it has to be a public breaking. Like in this case, we're talking about Bayah, we're talking about allegiance. This is what this is talking about. I'm going to skip a little bit. Take not your oaths to practice deception between yourselves, with the result that some or someone's foot may slip after it was firmly planted, and ye may have a taste, or you may taste the evil consequences of having hindered men from the path of Allah, and a mighty wrath descend on you. So, dhaqala is deception, trickery, disorder. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not make your oaths to practice deception between yourselves, with the result that someone's foot may slip after it was firmly planted, and you may have to taste the evil consequences of having hindered men from the path of Allah, and a mighty wrath descend on you. I mention this because many of our groups in the old days had the process of Bayah. I'll mention the Dar al-Islam, strong in Bayah and allegiance. But when someone came from overseas, infiltrated the group in cooperation with internal saboteurs, whoever the sheikh was, when they came back from the hills with Rod, who was Rod was a military arm of the Dar al-Islam movement, disciplined, well-trained, paratroop trained, and all of that. They came back to the Masjid in New York, and the sheikh who had floated in from overseas told Yahya Abdul Karim, who was the Imam, one of the founders of the Dar al-Islam movement, I'm going to make you the Amir of Dawah. Now the brother's telling me about it. If you remember the last poet, Suleiman al-Hadi, he's telling me about this right during the time it's happening, because we're doing programs in California. And the Dar al-Islam movement is breaking up. 1981, 82, 83, probably finished. And he's telling me all of this. And he said, man, we felt so crestfallen. And I was thinking, you felt crestfallen? Your Imam is being told by some joker from overseas that he's going to make your Imam the founder that you have Bayah to? Because he didn't came and brainwashed a group of preordained snitches. In other words, this sheikh didn't come in with no black magic. They're trying to tell me he came in with black magic and all of that. Wasn't no black magic. Them Negroes that went with him was already preordained by the United States government to go with this phony sheikh and break up the Dar al-Islam movement, our first and best Islamic movement in the United States. And we was crestfallen. I said, crestfallen, what did y'all do? Well, if he didn't say nothing, we couldn't do nothing. I said, shit. So y'all supposed to jump up and say, hold it, man, I don't know what you're talking about. This is our Imam right here. But they were intimidated because all the snitches had them outnumbered. Rod, the military arm, had been taken over by Sheikh Jelani. Yes, he had. So they let it go. The group split. Part went with Imam Jamil, and the rest went with the Sheikh. No more Dar al-Islam movement. No more great African-American dynamic movement. Just like that. Just like that. Simple as you could be. But everybody had Bayah to Yahya Abdul Karim. Imam Jamil, we all know Imam Jamil, H. Rap Brown, our friend. The government harasses him, and they say he got upset and it killed the police. Of course, we don't believe that because it's against the law to shoot police. Not only that, but the evidence, they said that one of the police, there was two sheriffs coming to serve a warrant, and they said, we don't know who H. Rap Brown is, we don't know, this is insanity, down in Atlanta, and he'd been there on front page news for I don't know how long, and we didn't know who he was going to serve a warrant on. Two Negro sheriffs. One is shot and killed, and the other one said that I shot the man, point blank. That's what they said. Remember, y'all remember the evidence? That's what they said. Imam Jamil was shot, point blank. They never found no blood when he was arrested. Now, Imam Jamil is light-skinned. If you get shot point blank, and even if you got a bulletproof vest on, you got bruises, right? He didn't have none of that. The sheriff said The evidence said the guy was 5 feet 10. Imam Jamil is 6 foot 5. Because I'm talking to him, yeah, man, I'm 6'2", a short guy compared to him. Yeah, man, what's going on up there? But that's what y'all remember the evidence? It said that he was 5 feet 10. And the police that lived said I looked him in the eye and he had gray eyes. That's what he said. I don't know if y'all remember. He has brown eyes. Black eyes, the one I see, they wasn't great, you know. They still sent him to the penitentiary. That wasn't the thing, though. That was one of the things. About Bayah, about allegiance. The Bayah and allegiance so strong in Atlanta that they do something I don't see nobody else do. When they finish prayer, everybody raise their hand before they leave. Ask anybody. And he said, okay, go ahead on. They said, as a sunnah, I ain't never seen it. I ain't never even heard you read, taking permission to leave a meeting. There's some small hadith, but they don't mean that. Because I ain't never seen it, not that I've been all over the world, and I ain't never seen nobody raise their hand to leave salat or nothing, or to come in. I just haven't seen it. The part about allegiance come in is when Imam Jamil is arrested, and nobody in the community comes to his aid. But it's one of the biggest African-American communities in the country. And all the imams and all the believers in the community has allegiance. And we right here raised 10 times much money for him. It's all up put together. And they kept telling me to quiet it down because he'll get in trouble. In trouble? I said, he said, no. Got a murder trial for killing the police. And they talking about either the death penalty or life without possibility of parole. He got life without possibility of parole. Then people come here and hear interviews, and we talking about it, and there's TV programs, and we telling the people down there saying, hey man, kind of cool it. I said, cool it? What do you mean? We gotta make people know that he's in prison. And that trial was not correct, right? And at the community, something is wrong. Everybody in the community have Bayah. This is what we're talking about, allegiance. Allegiance means if the imam is attacked, the whole community is attacked. The hadith say that the imam is a shield that you get behind and fight behind. How is it when our leaders get attacked, everybody back up? And they have allegiance, right? They have allegiance. The Quran is clearly telling us, and take not your oaths to practice deception between yourselves, with the result that someone's foot may slip after it was firmly planted, and you may have to taste the evil consequences of having hindered men from the path of Allah, and a mighty wrath descend on you. That's very clear that you can't bolster up a person's pride and feeling of security about everybody giving Bayah, and he's saying, all these brothers giving Bayah, that means we're pretty stable. Soon as something happened, everybody break and run. Not only run, they go slow you, tell you, take it easy, brother. Take it easy, brother. We don't want to make too much noise. I said, a murder of a police, and you ain't got nothing to say. And they said he was 5 feet 10, and he's 6 feet 5. And they say he had gray eyes and he got brown eyes or black eyes. I forget, but I know they wasn't gray. That means they can say anything they want because nobody's going to defend the brother. That's the way they've been doing our people. They put people in the penitentiary for paintball playing. They put people just out shooting bubblegum wrappers around. And they go to the penitentiary and still in a joint. And that was 15 years ago. For doing something all the kids do, paintball. The white people pay a white woman $1,000 to run out in the woods naked and they shoot at her with paintball. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, what's wrong with me and you just shooting at each other with goggles on? So it's saying, do not take your oaths to practice deception. What does that mean? That means that nor sell the covenant of Allah for a miserable price. That means a small kalilan, for a little price. Like Joseph was thrown down the well, they sold him for what? A miserable price, a small price, kalilan. They always take, the brothers always take their brother for little or nothing. The system that spent $1 billion trying to get rid of it because they worried about it. But we don't say, hey man, I ain't snitching on the brother unless you give me $1 million. There ain't no snitch union, there ain't nothing. Niggas snitches for a couple of mangoes, you know what I mean, a package of cigarettes or something, right? Ain't no tattletale unions. The Negroes, Fred Hampton was murdered with the drawings of all the buildings for $300. O'Neill, the tattletale, didn't get but $300. They said, we're gonna give you a bonus for getting rid of the smartest guy, because see, out of all the black leaders, he was the only one meeting with poor white folks and hillbillies. Y'all remember that? They had to kill him. This nigga's smarter than them other ones. They talk about black, black, black. He's talking about black, 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 and white, and Latinos, and everybody oppressed. Get rid of him quick before we get rid of others. Get rid of them other niggas too, but you get rid of him right away. I mean, deadly force. I don't know how many hundreds of bullets came through. Okay. What is with you must vanish, and what is with Allah will endure. And we will certainly bestow on those who patiently persevere their reward according to the best of their actions. So, what is with you, what we got is going to vanish. It's going to wear out. It's going to get old. I remember years ago, the cars that we would sacrifice our lives for, Brohams and all of that. A few years later, you drive by the junkyard and the junkyard is full of old Brohams. Right? Full of them. Just people trying to get rid of them. We don't want to see them things no more. So all the stuff that we covered is going to wear out. It's going to vanish. It's going to diminish. It's going to become depleted. It ain't going to be worth nothing. Right? And this is what the ayat is saying. What's with you? All the stuff that we paying attention to is going to vanish. It's going to get old. And I like something, what's the black actor we all know? Denzel. Denzel gave a good commencement speech down in New Orleans to the Black Students Union. And he told them a very simple thing that we all know. He says, you will find no U-Haul vans behind a funeral. What he meant by that, all the stuff that people own, you don't see them trying to take it with them, because it ain't going nowhere. One of my partners, he was about the biggest Negro around at that time, had a gold tooth right here. He had a gold tooth on one side and a diamond on the other. And So he had his will, when I get buried, I want a coffin full of $100 bills. I want my best diamond stick pins and the stuff all laid out. And when you go to the funeral home, he was decked out. They had a little process redone. You know what I mean? He looked good, and they had his mouth like this, so you could see that diamond, the diamond side. The other side was the gold tooth was gold. Boy, he had Rolexes, looked like a Rolodexes. Boy, that boy had diamonds. He looked good, and he had rocks. The rocks on his finger could buy you just about what you want. And $100 bills full of the casket. Had a few $1,000 bills, 500 Grover Cleveland. Guess y'all don't see many of them. No, we used to high side, so we get $1,000 bills, $500 bills, and everybody else flashing 20s in those days, 50s and 100s, and we pull out $1,000. That ain't real. I said, look at that. There's a white man, the president is on there. You just ain't got enough money. You know, where we used to make fun of each other. You just poor, that's all. Driving that little old Coupe de Ville. You ought to get you a Ham or Eldorado or something. Or Benz, they just started to come in. But the brother was there. We all rolled on by. But by the time they pulled the casket in the back before they put it in the gadget to send him to the graveyard, all his relatives were stripping they stripped every dime. Boy, he went there, he looked like a plucked chicken. They plucked it, they didn't take his teeth or his, but if wasn't nobody looking, I'm sure they would have. But he didn't have on no diamonds. His collar was all open where they took the stick pins. He was pitiful. And I didn't see now $100 bill in that casket. But that's the way he wanted to go out. Well, he was presented like that, but he didn't go nowhere. Neither him nor Pharaoh with all them boats and all them riches. Them grave robbers came and knocked Pharaoh for that stuff. And just like the brother was laying there dead, he couldn't do nothing. Pharaoh's laying there dead. When you die, you're going to be dead. And ain't nothing going with you. That's what he mean by ain't no U-Hauls behind the funeral procession. You ain't taking nothing with you. That's what it means. What's with you will wear out. What's with you will get old. What's with you will vanish, except those good deeds. Now it's hard to conceive of, it talks about in Islam, sending something ahead. That means doing good deeds because they're up there waiting for you. They're deposited in the universal bank of Allah. And you put in one and you always get 700 back minimum. Right? But you have to believe that. So now it's talking about keeping your word, because what is with you must vanish. What's with Allah will endure, endurance, duro, long lasting. If you got endurance, everybody else tired, you still there, right? You have longevity, you have stickability. That's what good discipline and training do. It gives you the long view that you're here for a long time. You endure and you have longevity. But all this other stuff, yanfadu, is going to be depleted and it's going to run out. Whoever works righteousness, man, woman, and has faith, verily to him will we give a new life. That's a hard one. A life that is good and pure, and we will bestow on such their reward according to the best of their actions. Now look at us. Just imagine if we act and carry ourselves in a certain way, we're going to get judged not by our whole package, but the best of our actions. And we ain't got 4 or 5 good actions, that's what we're going to be judged by. If our character follows along parallel with all of these other things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever works righteousness, man or woman, and has faith verily to him, we will give a new life. I know in Christianity they get born again. I guess not too many of us was born again. I mean, so-called saved, got baptized, and water sprinkled on. But I know when I come from the country, boy, the strangest thing, in the church, you know, behind the pulpit, there was a pool of water with little waves on it. And I was just a kid. I was wondering, what do they do with that thing? Then they had people baptized. Now in the country, every other Sunday, everybody would go down on their cotton wagon and they would be hollering and shouting. We would go to the bayou or to the river, right? Y'all remember that? And get baptized. I was sitting in the church. I said, what is that? Look, how can they? I know they wasn't going, but that's what they did. They got baptized in that little bit of water, and they so-called had a new life, but I never saw nobody change and nothing. They was born again. But that was a serious being born, because I never saw nobody that got born again change. But now this Islam tell you, you carry yourself in a certain way. Now I'm going to stretch out and I'm going to say I can personally testify to this new life stuff. Because in Jahiliyyah we had everything that they said was good. All the cars, all the women, all the money, everything at the height of your youth. It is literally nothing compared to today, to now in Islam, with challenges all the time. Why? Because Allah give you a new life. Hey man, you can believe it or you don't. If you get that new life, that old stuff, the fear of the old world and the fear of loss and gain, of everybody like me or don't nobody like me, or the police gonna be mad, or going to jail, or losing your house, that stuff goes away. It's still real, but it does not play a part with your new life. And this is what Allah tell you, it just says it right here. Whoever works righteousness, man or woman, and has faith verily to him, we will give a new life, a life that is good and pure, and we will bestow on such their reward according to the best of their actions. Now just imagine. Ain't nobody gonna look at your account when it's empty, just when it's full. Now wouldn't that be nice? When your account is empty, and you're trying to hide your book over on the other side, don't worry about that. I already know what's in the book. I'm not judging you by that today, dear brother, sister, because it says man and woman, right? That have faith. I'm going to hook you up and judge you. You got, out of your whole 85-year life, you have 16 good deeds. Forget about that 65 trillion or the other. And you know what I'm judging you by? Those 16 good deeds. That's what the Quran says, not an interpretation. Of course, we didn't colorize it a little bit, but we're not straying. The point is, Allah said if you do certain things, I'm going to judge you by the best of your deeds. When thou dost read the Quran, seek the protection from Satan, the rejected enemy. That's why we say, so we don't get no false currents. إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهُ سُلْطَانٌ عَلَىٰ alladhina amanu wa ala rabbihim yattawakkalun. No authority has he over those who believe and put their trust in their Lord. Now, you notice this word, innahu laysa lahu sultanun. It's saying no authority. That's what sultan means. Sultan, the ruler, the great president, the sultan. That's what it is. No authority has he over those who believe and put their trust in their Lord. Those who follow what we've been reading. The shaitan, because remember the ayat said, seek protection of Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan nirrajim. Right? With that in mind, Allah is your sultan, not the Satan. Now in our lives, who's running things? Just a little quick view. Who's running things in our life, generally? It's based on who we allow, because Allah don't make you do nothing. Now there's some ayat says that Allah put a seal over their heart. But it don't mean that Allah locked up your heart. That would be Allah imposing on you, right or wrong. No. But after decades and decades of bad deals, your heart becomes hardened and a seal goes over it. It's like a gishawa, a curtain over your eyes. Right? So you can see, but you can't see right, and you can't see nothing but wrong because of your behavior. Now, in the last ayat it says, إِنَّمَا سُلْطَانٌ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يَتَّوَالُونَهُ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِهِ mushrikun. His authority is over those only who take him as a patron and who join partners with him. The shaitan, remember there's two parties in life, Hizbullah and Hizbul Shaitan. Right? That's the only two parties you read about it. Now, the members of Hizbul Shaitan has made their sultan, their leader, their guide, their everything. That's what the Quran is saying. And they have become mushriks. Why? Because this is Allah, and they set up something next to Allah. That's what a mushrik means. That there is the God, Allah, and somebody makes Jesus God, or John God, or a guru God, right? Then the mushrikinize their thinking, right? By associating something with Allah. And I wanted to read those ayats because here we had, and technically we still have, this process of allegiance. But no one has ever heard me mention allegiance to anybody hardly. You know why? Because after reading the Quran and watching our history, it seems as though the people would be taking allegiance, right, as a means of deception, to hide, to make you think you in pocket, and then when you need them, they'll drift away. They drifted away from Imam Jamil. They drifted away from Yahya Abdul Kareem. They drifted away from everybody. Now, what are you going to do when you study all of this? I want to read a few things from this masjid is in the middle of history. Now, you're going to say this guy really stretches out, which I am, don't you worry. Does anybody remember 2004, 2001 and 2001 is the program down at the press building where we clearly told the people that if the United States invades Afghanistan, they're going to be in plenty of trouble. They invaded, they got in plenty of trouble. In fact, do you know that was 2001 and they still there? Ain't got no way out. Can you imagine? That's like being in the ring with Jack Johnson. You know, the white people, they trying to get in the ring with Jack Johnson, the first black champion. That boy, imagine how poor Jim Jeffries felt, the great white hope. He done jumped in the ring with Jack Johnson, and Jack Johnson is not going to take him out no way soon. So he just said, well, Mr. Jeff, oh, Mr. Jeff, he's cooning him. Oh, I'm gonna hit you in the eye, Mr. Jeff. Bam! He hit him in the eye. Oh, Mr. Jeff, he's standing right, just acting. He having plenty of fun. He can knock the white man out anytime he wants. This is the great, you ever heard of the great white hope? This is Jim Jeffries, the great white hope. A black man has become champion of the world. And they talk about niggas as coons and scared to fight. Now, from Buffalo, so you know, I don't say that, but anyway, the world, this is during the height of colonialism. Everybody in the world, everybody here, wherever you're from, your country was colonized. Just think about it. 100 years ago, every drop of Africa except the little corner was colonized. So if you're from the African continent, you was colonized. If you're from India, Pakistan, Malaysia, India, wherever you're from, if you're not from Europe, you was colonized. And here's a black man giving hope to the whole world, right? So they had a search for what they call the Great White Hope. He's going to save white folks. That's what the Great White Hope was. Y'all may be young to remember it, but my parents, my father was born in 1900, they remember that, how they felt. 51 people was lynched in one day. One guy went down after the fight and he said, give me some coffee, black as Jack Johnson, and some eggs beat up like Jim Jeffries. They killed the poor man. Just asked him for eggs and coffee. He said, give me some coffee, black as Jack Johnson, right? And eggs beat up, you know, scrambled eggs, like Jim Jeffries. So, old Jim is in the ring, and, oh, Mr. Jeff, I'm hit you in the tummy again. What is it, the fourth time? Pop, hit him in the stomach. And he's in the ring with this monster, and he can't get out. All the white folks is watching. He can't do nothing, because every time he try to hit him, he moves. You ain't trying to hit me, boss. Boss, you trying to hit me? Good God Almighty. Well, let me stand here for you. Go on, try it. Go on, hit me, boss. This is the dialogue. You think, what's my name was new. It was 55 years old when Muhammad Ali started. Jack Johnson did it in 1910. That's what old Jack did. All right, they made laws for him. He did a little time. In fact, he was in Leavenworth. That's the price he paid for being a person that gave black people a feeling that we are something. We're just not load animals, pack animals. So in the 2001 attack on Afghanistan, they attacked, and they got whooped bad, and they're still getting whooped right now. They can't get out, and it's too uncomfortable to stay. It's bad business. Iraq, we told them, you got to remember the demonstrations. We had demonstrations. One day it was 35 million people worldwide demonstrated against the invasion of Iraq in 2003. We had a couple of demonstrations here, 200,000 and then 500,000. Right here in D.C., yeah. They went to war anyway. A year after that, we wrote an article, I don't have it right here, but it was called Another Islamic State. It's talking about Iraq. But we didn't say it would be a complete Islamic state. We would say we would get 65% of what we wanted, if y'all remember it. I'm telling you, that's what we got, 65%. And the other day, not that our homeboy is always hooking up something. Here's our homeboy, Musa al-Sabiqun. This is our homeboy. Now, this ain't just one. All our homeboys is making these folks mad and upset. They didn't expect him to do nothing, but he's now the kingmaker in Iraq, making up for his daddy and his uncle, and I think his other uncle. Imam Musa that was kidnapped in Libya in 1981. In 1980, Mohammed Bakr Sadr was assassinated in Iraq, and his sister Bint al-Huda. So this brother and this guy's father, his aunt, and two uncles was all martyred. So you can see how his political views are, right? Okay, 2006, the invasion of Lebanon. Does anybody remember that? Everybody was hollering and jumping up and down. It was July 2006. The Jews, the Zionists are destroying Lebanon. We called it Bashir Room, Bashir. Good news. Y'all remember? We made 3 CDs, DVD, called Good News. It's the first time the Zionists attacked somebody, and by the time things got heated up, the Zionists was sitting on tanks crying real tears on television because what the Hezbollah was doing to their behind. Whooped them, slapped them upside the head, and had them going crazy. And what the Hezbollah did was, the Zionists got 4th and 5th generation weapons. Super superior. But the Hezbollah combined 2nd generation and 3rd generation weapons, alternate in new compositions that defeated their 4th generation weapons. That's what Hezbollah did. Hezbollah whooped them and still whooping them today. I'm just mentioning this because we told them. All of this was mentioned here. Arab Spring, there will be no Arab Spring. But the brothers just had to go ahead, right? Remember the Ikhwan? The Ikhwan al-Muslimin came here and they talked with Obama. They talked with Kerry. They talked with the State Department. Oh, we're going to be good in Egypt. Will you give us a green light? They said, sure. What did we say? There will be no Arab Spring. Do not take power. You know what they said? You guys, all your bucks, the power of Islam. I said, that was then. Do not take power now because you can't fix Egypt. Right? You couldn't fix it if the wind was behind you. You know you can't fix it if the Zionists and the Americans are working 100% to crush the movement, right? To crush the economy. Like a dummy, they took power. When they took power, they blamed all the problems in Egypt on Ikhwan al-Muslimin, and they voted in Sisi, whatever his name is. He's worse than Mubarak. And they voted this bum in, right? You see, here's a problem that's going on with many of our people today. This is not new. If you was coming to our meetings, we've been talking about it all the time. Number one, the people are evolving, but they're evolving behind the curve. They're not evolving with the patterns of history. Their lack of evolution makes them absent from the field of battle when they should be, and they avoid all the benefits of their struggle because they don't even recognize it. Why? Because they're evolving, but they're evolving too slow. And y'all got your internet. Just look on there and look at this. You'll see why everybody here turned on us after the South Africa, 1996. There's 2 lectures. Look at them and see what they say. We told the South Africans, mostly Indian Muslims, this is what you have to do. You are now liberated from apartheid. This is 2 years after the election. In order for South Africa to be a success, you're going to have to move up. Now remember, the white people still at the top, control most of the money. The Indians in the middle, they got big money, but it's mercantile money. They're ready, but they're not psychologically ready. So when we tell them, because the ANC is saying we're going to have 5 million homes, new homes built. You know everybody live in them shacks. They still live in them shacks with 10 on top of them. Right now today, they're still there, same ones. Kailicha and all of them, they still look the same. Soweto still looks the same as they did during apartheid. What we told them was, this is how you move forward. Maybe because we was black, they didn't want to listen. As the years rolled by, you would be sad to go there. I can't tell you all the fitna they used against them. But one was drugs and the other was AIDS. They just rolled in. You know, if you got a drug problem, you're not going to make no progress, right? They know that from us. They know that from the opium war. They know that from all over the world. So we told them, you go after the South African black. They didn't do that. You know who they went after? The brothers from Malawi. Malawi are mostly Muslims. Most of the people with money are the Muslims. They like their brothers. They're already Muslims and they don't steal much. They're happy to be here. They're very, if you wanted somebody to work for you and around you, you would want him. But the only thing is, the South African Negroes don't like Nigerians. They don't like nobody coming in, taking out, you know. You say, well, you're all blacks. They said, no, that guy there, there's some so-and-so. They have riots. You read the news? They have rebellion today. The South African blacks against the immigrant blacks. You ever see that? Happens all the time. We told them, go after the South African black. Oh, we got little blacks. You go back there and you say, oh, the brothers reading Quran beautifully and they're all in and out of the Masjid. It looks beautiful. But they're not South African. I said, go after the South African black. Go after everybody. You know, but do not leave the South African alone, because he's the one that's, if you're going to build a nation, you're going to build it with him. Right? So they avoided it. They're having more trouble in South Africa than you could imagine. Why? Because the ANC was going to do like any of our political parties. Remember all our great guys? What did they do? They turned against us. So did they. I'm going to move on. This in South Africa, Imam abdul-alim Musa, South African tour. You would think I was running for president, Imam abdul-alim Musa. You know why they invited me to South Africa at that time, 2013? Because I was getting ready to visit there to go on a fundraiser. So they said, we'll have him come and talk about drugs and cut him off from raising funds for his movement. There's some slick stuff going on. If you ain't woke, if you're not woke, that's all right. We're going to move on. We're going to show you what's going on, what's been going on. Why? What's the big thing about this masjid? Why is this the only masjid in the region people go around and say, don't go to that masjid, they do this, that, and that? Why do they don't do it to no other masjid? Here's why. It's because we've accepted the challenge. And we have been focused on the Zionist Americans' desire to change the Middle East and to change the world. And when they started in heavily on the Middle East again, right, we told them this clearly a few years ago. Number one, it won't be no Arab Spring. Number two, it's going to be a protracted struggle, a long-range struggle. Number three, there's going to be some temporary flash-in-the-pan success. But after that, it's going to be a whole attack on the region. That attack is going to produce regional vision and then regional unity and final success. And that's what we have now. You look in the news. Iran used to be by itself. Now it's Iran, it's Iraq, it's Syria and Russia. Strategic alliance. It's a strategic alliance. Everything Saudi Arabia is doing is causing harm to itself. All of our enemies are making their own problems. Europe don't want all of those immigrants. Well, they got rid of Gaddafi, didn't they? They supported the attack on Syria. It's destroyed. The people run away from Syria, Afghanistan, and everywhere else, go to Libya, then they go to Europe. Millions of people in Europe because the Europeans set it up to bring in just what they didn't want. Now let's see if anybody remember our duas. Oh Allah, help bring the American Zionist regime down and make fun of it while you're doing it. Does anybody remember that? Make a fool out of it. What's happening now? You ever seen a bigger fool? This is a prayer answered in your face. You have to recognize it. Donald Trump is the biggest fool in world history. And he makes every mistake exactly as should be made. Right? All the time. He never makes a half problem or this or that. If there's 5 things that could go wrong, he goes down the list, which one is the worst? And he does it. It don't make no difference whether it's trade or anything. And right now, look at here. There's some friends of ours, but they're evolving slow too. Top EU diplomats adopt defiant stance to attempt to save Iran nuclear deal. Now all of those are homeboys, but we told them to take slow. And y'all are dumb. These are our friends. You know why? They're like equanities. You know why? The Iranians are suffering from the historical colorism, whiteism, party affiliationism, equaniism. Equan failed recently because of cliquism. Equan going to save the world. They're not going to save the world. Right? The Iranians, right now, my friends, know their children, be with them all the time, are following a stupid path. Of course, Allah protecting them. Why? Because they're into cliqueism. Our clique, the foreign ministry, knows better than the Rahbar. And on and on and on. So we telling them, you boys is going crazy. And we didn't support no revolution to allow you, because you are a foreign minister or you are some big Ayatollah. No. If it's Libya and those other places, that's their business. But Iran, as we tell them, Iran is our business. In America. Yeah, it's our business. That's what we tell them. And that's why we tell them so they can see it right now. You here, you go sit your butt over in a corner and stay there unless you do the right thing. You got the whole United States here causing all the trouble, and y'all ain't doing nothing but sticking your finger in your butt. What's wrong with you? You're stupid. Stupid downtowners, all you big shots here, you're acting stupid. We're not going to allow it. Last 2 trips, well, 3 trips ago, we're in a big park in Iran, and the cameras is rolling. This is interviews. And the brothers got a whole crew of Iranian cutie pies. And they all trying to fondle fall. I said, hold it. Get back. What are you doing? These are my homeboys trying to set me up. They're going to show those pictures that some of the big people say, Imam Musa's not the guy. I said, back off. I was doing like this because they know they in Iran. They know you ain't supposed to be funding all over, man, smelling good, and young tenders with all the, Iranians got all them different kind of colors of hair and all kind of stuff. And I said, no, you're not setting the brother up. And if anybody in Iran has seen that, that's our dear brothers that was hanging around here for a while, taking those pictures and sending them back to you to try to spoil our reputation. But it ain't gonna work. So now, whoever you've seen those pictures from, you remember, that's a tattletale, that's a snitch, that's an anti-Velayati Faqih crew. Okay. So you would wonder, this man sounds crazy. He's talking about all these things and people like, they somebody. Well, we are somebody. We are somebody. We didn't whoop the white man, we didn't whoop the snot out of him. We said it years ago, over 10 years ago. Same style as Muhammad Ali and Jack Johnson. I don't know if y'all remember them CDs. But that's the same style we would use. So, psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. Psychological guerrilla warfare has worked. Why? Because when you're in a fight, you got to have a strategy. Okay, so if you're here in America, can you get rid of snitches? Absolutely not. Can you get rid of tattletales? Absolutely not. Therefore, you have to have a pattern of behavior to use them as much as you can. What's the best thing to do to boss man? Is do things that are not conventional. Number one, put your plans in big letters. We plan to do this, we plan to do that, We're going to raise 50,000, 500,000. We're going to do this, that, and other. So what does the mean old Euro do? He mobilizes all his efforts to stop you from doing that. Right? It's automatic. He can't help himself. He's got to. So, do you jump out and fight with him? Absolutely not. You just stay and watch him make all he move. Then you repeat it again. Yeah, we're going to do this, well, we're going to do that, da, 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 da. Then when you get ready to do it, you go on and do it. Why? Because he done already exhausted himself. He done already set up all his blocks. Right there where you can see him. Block this, block that, block, 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 block. It's unconventional because you got to keep your plans to yourself. Right? Well, people get jealous. They try to stop you. So you use the reverse. That's what psychological guerrilla warfare is. Use reverses and side approaches. Yeah, use proximity, psychological proximity bombs. That's a bomb, a psychological bomb. You send it to the Euro, and it don't blow up anytime. It wait till it get right up next to him, then it blow up. That's why it's a proximity bomb. It's a proximity idea. He don't know nothing about it. Why? Because he cannot get into a mind of an old-time Negro unless the Negro let him in. You underestimate them old coons way back when. They had to survive in America, and they couldn't speak for themselves. They couldn't say, I'm a man. Yeah, you will hang your black behind. Isn't that right? So how are you going to think? How are you going to move? See, I used to hang around with all the old people my father's age. He was born in 1900, in fact. All his friends was that age. And nobody wanted to listen to that old stuff but me. I just listened to them old stories and listened to all that. And then I was young enough in the country to watch what, of course we left young, but you see how it worked. How would you have to think? How would you have to move when you're handcuffed? Right? The other thing is think as though you're in a prison, which you are. And the thing I used to like about segregation in the old days, the whole. You know, there are certain things outlawed in jail, right? Drugs, alcohol. Y'all been in the penitentiary, you know in the morning they give you that old stewed fruit, raisins, apples, and all of that. You know that stewed, they still give you that? Suppose you on this row right here. And we got so-and-so down there. We sent all our stewed stuff down to him. We all got 2 spoonsful of sugar. We sent that down to him. The old bread was penitentiary bread. So you soak that bread, right, in a bugler can. They used to have bugler cans. And guess what rises to the top? Yeast, right? You see in a tumbler, everybody's sending a tumbler down, they done soak that old prison bread. And the yeast done floated up to the top. And the police is wondering why. You put it in a bag, then you put it later on in a sock, and you mash it out. You know what you're mashing out? Alcohol. And we in the hole, and everybody down there, nigga, cracker, this, that, and the other. People are drunk in the hole. And you ain't supposed to have nothing in the hole. And you're drunk in the hole. That's the way you think out here. You're supposed to be surrounded. You do what you do as long as you frame your thinking. And you get to do everything you want to do, although you're surrounded. Although this encirclement and suppression is real. Okay, we're going to move. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. You'll like this. Here's what happened. We had this program in Oakland. We had it a long time ago. This is the second program in 2014. So what did we do? You could see the little sign on the building that says Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. The Negroes, when they caused trouble, the first thing they did was took that sign down. You know why that sign was important? I'm going to not stay too long, but here's what happened. This little program, all the Zionists didn't come. They sent a few Zionists. They took our flyers, everything that we write, and they put it in their website. That's why we say we don't care nothing about Steve Emerson. We don't care nothing about Daniel Pipes or Ibrahim Foxman. Those are the big Zionists. Their websites have 300,000 hits per day. We have 100. So we have them put our website, our articles on their website. So they make us the most famous Negroes, Muslims in North America. And they make our issues important. They say that man calls America a constitutional dictatorship. That's what we believe. They say Imam Jamil is our forgotten hero. Here's our cop killer. 300,000-400,000 people on each website see it. Stand up for justice. Don't nobody pay no attention to us, but it's on their website. Guess what that is? Psychological guerrilla warfare, the highest. It's like walking up to the police and say, boss man, take your pistol out. He takes his pistol, point it at your head, blow your brains out. He do it. It's psychological guerrilla warfare. We don't have the wherewithal to get on all those websites. We have them put our stuff on their website. That's what guerrilla warfare is. And then we have to tell them what we did because they're still so slow. When we whoops the European, I'm telling you, we whooping them bad. Don't feel sorry for us. Oh, they did this and go. They ain't did nothing but what we told them to do. We have domesticated the white man. That's what we've done. You know, where you domesticate a cow, you domesticate a dog. You domesticate the system. Only reason, I told my partners in California, they was big Negroes back in the day. I said, the only reason between me and you is y'all accepted the white man's authority. I don't. Y'all was sharp, big. You know what I mean? Big Negroes, slick. The gangster Negroes were 10 times as smart as the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries were slow. When I went to Algeria and I lived with the only revolutionary, I said, I see why we ain't win this one. I said, y'all is slow. Slow. I said, you're going down to the Rue de Marad every day buying hashish. It's in Algeria. And you got a rebellion going on in the country. Everybody that sells dope or even use it know that if you're in a fix, you don't stay high all the time. You get sober. You get your discipline. You get your self-control together. And that's what this month is, a month of self-control, discipline. I'm going to move toward a close, but this has to be important. I keep this because they translated this lecture in Tehran University and put it in the biggest newspaper. So somebody's paying attention. And the other one we showed you 100 times, the African Americans. They had their conference focuses on how social invisibility of African American Muslims lead to psychological trauma and suffering. You know what that means? All the big Negroes sold out their Islam to the immigrant community. Yes, they did. And the immigrant community don't know what to do with Islam here. I told you 1,000 times, the immigrant community came here to get to be a part of America, to join into America, to get the benefits of America. You and I accepted Islam to change America, right? We don't like it. What y'all putting, we don't like getting blown away. We don't like no jobs, no nothing, right? We don't like that. So Islam is a vehicle to improve ourselves, but to change the world in which we live in for the better. The whole world is out there getting whooped to death because of old Sam. And psychological problems, we may have them, but we can't recognize them. You may see them. But for social invisibility, they feel lonely now. We've been lonely all the time. You don't see us nowhere. Once you see us, I don't care whether it's Fox News or television or anything, once they see us, we don't come back no more. You know why? Because you're not a dumb nigga. If you was a fool, like all some of our other brothers, the big black folks, they get on Fox News and stutter and all that. And we don't do that. We don't have no, we're not suffering. We don't have no trauma. You know why? We figure out what's the fight about and jump right on in there and say, that's what you got to do. That saves your problem. Suppose you say, I don't want that fight. Oh, no, Lord, have mercy. And break out running. The fight gonna catch up with you. Isn't that right? And then if boss man see you scared of him, he's gonna whoop the snot out of you. So you jump right on that cracker. I mean the cracker consciousness, not white folks. Remember, we want to rescue, the best in speech, call people to Allah, work righteous deeds, etc. That's what we want to do. When I'm talking about the cracker and the white man, I'm talking about the system, not a physical European. We're not into that at all. Okay, I'm going to say a few more things and I'm going to close up. So the point is that we're right in the forefront of all of this. The only reason nobody's helping is because they're afraid and lack of confidence. Lack of confidence. You respect the white man too much. He's nothing but a cracker. And now, why respect him now when he's the biggest fool in the world? He's losing everything right now. Before any of y'all, if you ain't got no gray hair now, before you get any more gray hairs, this white man will be the laughing stock of the world. And I told Iranians, don't worry about your mistakes. Ain't nowhere in the world 30 years ago after the war that they thought that the British, right, the French, and everybody else would be on their side against the United States, including the Germans, including the Chinese, including the Russians. So even mistakes, those people that achieve martyrdom, they give us a protection. All I'm saying to us before we close, dear believers, if you're waiting for the big day to come, you're living in it. You're living in the big time. Do not let your time go by. If you do, you're going to be like the Negroes. You're going to have psychological trauma. Yes, you are. That's what they got. Remember 5 years, all these big Negroes, you know their names. All the famous Negroes. You heard the Negroes said over there, how was that, Sherman Jackson? He's an Arabic Palooka scholar. Him and Zayd was over there. You know what they said? We gave up something, the white man for the immigrant. Something like that, right? The way we used to follow white folks blindly, the Negroes follow the immigrants blindly. Where are the immigrants going? We love immigrants. They got Masjid all over America. Thousands of people in some of these Jum'ahs. Sometimes they got 3 and 4 Jum'ahs. And they're not doing nothing. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? And Negroes are following them. That's why they're having mental problems. We ain't having no mental problems because we say the problem is boss man, the Zionists, and the Americans. And we call them out. Come on out of there, cracker. That's what we do. You see it all the time. Come on out of there. Sitting up in there high, talking that trash. Come on out and get me. You just nigger stuff. We use what God gave us. We act like niggas. That's what you are. That's what God gave you. You're going to act like a cracker and pull out a protractor thing and this is our attack here. No, you said niggas do it this way. Come out of there, sucker, before I'll slap you upside the head. Suppose you mean it. What can he do? He can just kill you, which you might just do. But you die as a bad nigga. Now, what's the best thing to die? Is an old handkerchief-headed coon or a bad nigga? It ain't nothing better in the world, at least when we grew up, is a bad nigga. Isn't that right? That nigga's a bad nigga there. It's the best thing in the world to be. So be that. Tell the cracker you finished. And then the last thing is the doer. Oh Allah, you know, we got optimism. We got kindness and we got humor. This is what we base our work on. So, oh Allah, make fun of our enemies. Harass them. Make them look stupid. Have you watched TV lately? Don have a scandal. He used to have one scandal every week. Now you have them every other day. Sometimes 2 or 3 a day. Last night he said, what those people, those Mexicans are, what do they call them? Animals, they're animals. Then he tried to come back and say, no, I meant the MS-13. He didn't know MS-13. Lie, he meant them Mexicans, bad hombres, isn't that right? He gonna talk about them people, and you see around here how many Latinos it is. What do you think California looks like? You know, when I moved on my block in 1955, it was 2 Negroes on the whole block. By 1965, it was all Negroes. As of today, or as the last 5 years, we are the only Negroes in the region. Everybody is Mexican. Everybody. I think some Negro crossed the street down somewhere. Hey man, anybody but a fool would be trying to get along with Spanish-speaking people and learn a little Spanish. They're here to stay. They already outnumber the Negroes, and Negro women is dying faster than anybody in the hospital, and the babies is dying too. I don't know how that is. Twice as many as white women. Do you remember 25 years ago what the problem in D.C. was? Teen pregnancy. Remember that? Oh, the little babies having babies. When I came here, every little girl was strolling down the street with babies everywhere. What about now? What happened? Do some math. Where are they now? How many black girls do you see pulling kids now? Little bitty kids. What happened? Is somebody messing with you? Well, maybe they catch colds or something. And our population is decreasing or staying still. Not Latinos. In California, and I'm close. If it's a girl 17, she got one in her tummy, she's pushing a cart. Yeah, they got probably 2 in the cart. Maybe 1 walking. 17. So in 2000, we was equal. 39 million, that's what they said. Blacks, 39 million. Latinos. That ain't true anymore. That ain't nowhere close. I think in the last 20 years, they have doubled up on me and you. They have doubled up. We still, a few of us here in D.C. and Philadelphia, but everywhere else, si hablo español, señor. Muy rápido, aprende, learn Spanish, quick. And make them your friends. Because in the rebellion, this fool, can I back up just 1 second? I swore I was going to close. But look, here's the thing. These fools are making a worse mistake on Latinos than they did on us. For instance, when our parents moved from the south to the west or the north, man, we had electric lights. You should have seen me jumping up and down, not carrying a lantern. You flip the switch and jump, look at that thing now, electric light. And the streets, you know, was paved. You could just walk right to the stop and give the guy a nickel and jump on the bus and ride all over town for a nickel. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. And my neighbor, I drove by the house, the neighbor, I went to our neighbor's house, and I run back, I said, Mama, Mama, the man over there got a box in the house and got white folks running around in it. It was a television, of course. But if you was from the country, you never seen no television. When you're on TV and radio, you didn't have no electricity. Them shacks that they show you on the news, all of us lived in them shacks. Cars, no cars. Horses and mules sitting on that old cotton wagon. That's what you did. That's the way life was. Get behind the mules. Jum'ah, that's the way the mule go this way. Y'all remember that? See, Jum'ah, the people don't remember nothing. That's true. You don't need to remember, but we remember for you. We remember what it was like. Now look, when our people went out to the West, they was just as happy as they could be. They get a job in a factory, making a middle income wage from working in the South. You know, in '65, down in Mississippi, you made $2 a day. In California, you made $3, $4 an hour. It's a big difference, right? It's a big difference. Now, our parents were happy with that. We were not. The biggest rebellion amongst blacks took place in the best part of the country, in the north and in the west. Isn't that right? The Watts ride, Chicago rides, Detroit ride. Detroit, that's where the cars was made. Everybody was living good in Detroit, but we was riding. The dummies. You know how happy the immigrant Mexicans, Salvadorians to get here? They remember the old days back home. But the U.S. treat them like dogs, right? Their kids are not afraid of no America. You ought to see they pistol packing Mexicans, boy, I'm telling you, all over California and everywhere I go, I'm telling you. And they got songs. Just like we had black songs, they got their song, and I said, what the heck is that song? It says discrimination. Right? So think about allies now. Allies are everybody. Poor white people, all Latinos, and any Negro you can rescue before he goes crazy. Time is on our side. The last thing, don't worry about the system. Get down at the hill, just step back. Just get back, that's all. And let him go. Don't protest. Don't say, we want this, and we stop, that's what you say. Don't stop nothing, right? You talk about all of us. And all of us, the white folks, all of us come from shithole countries. Because the white folks, they came from Greece, they came from everywhere. Can you imagine a president of the United States talking like that? Can you imagine a president that curses all the allies, all their friends in Europe now mad at him? All their friends in Asia mad at him? At the UN, everybody was mad at what happened in Palestine. You see what Nikki Haley did? As soon as a guy got up from Palestine to talk, she got her butt up and turned her head and walked away. Wouldn't even listen. You see that kind of arrogance? Last thing, I'm gonna quit. Boss man, not boss man no more. They got Germans making good cars, better than they do. They got Chinese making everything. They got Malaysians, they got Indonesians, they got everybody. Boss man is broke. Boss man is flat broke, right? What are we going to do in the meantime? And I want to close. The world is dependent. This is our shot to make up for all of the negative American characteristics. This is time for us to play a leading role in making the world a better place. Because if this thing collapses, it needs people like you and I to keep it together for those people who want to see a better world. If we don't, it's collapsing anyway. Them dummies that messed it up, they're going to be running to mess up too. They're going to mess up. Remember like the big money crisis? They stole everybody's money, right? Took everybody's houses, didn't give the people a bonus that did all the trouble. Y'all remember that? Now, they'll do the same thing to you if we don't straighten up. Well, Lord, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and negligence. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by death and the oppression of men. O Lord, suffice us with what is lawful, keeping us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want and what is beside us. Ameen.